Welcome to Let's Talk Petty. We are not petty, but we love talking about it.
Yes, we absolutely do, even after vacation. I'm Andrew.
And it was such a good vacation.
Yes, it was, Kate.
Thank you, Andrew. I forgot to say. I'm Kate.
You're still in vacation mode.
I am still in vacation mode. So we saw a ton of great stuff, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was something I didn't even know existed because we went to Mount Rushmore, which was amazing.
You've never knew Mount Rushmore existed.
Never knew Mount Rushmore existed.
Amazing.
I was like, who are these guys up here?
That's amazing.
No, I knew that existed. But while we were there was all these ads for going to see the Crazy Horse Memorial,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not know existed.
It does. It's real.
Did you know that existed?
I did, because in planning this trip, I saw that multiple times.
But only because you had been planning the trip, right?
I have heard about it in the past, but just in passing. I didn't know anything about it.
Well, I didn't even know, and it's been around for a while. It's not complete yet, but it is pretty amazing.
Yes, but they've been working on it for like 200 years.
Yes. And it's still like not even close.
They've got a lot of work to do on it.
They do, which is kind of weird. I feel like, how did they do Mount Rushmore in the time that they did?
Yeah, but when we were there wasn't even people working on it.
No.
There was like 3 people up there you could see through the little telescopic lenses. And they were just sitting there looking back at us through binoculars.
I wonder who's here watching us. That's why they haven't gotten anything done. I mean, they have the head done and his arm, but they still have his whole body and the horse, which we could see the outline for his body and the horse. I mean, it's going to be an incredible monument, and it's humongous.
Way bigger than Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, just in his head alone, you could fit Mount Rushmore, which is crazy.
So that's probably the explanation for why it's taking so long.
I don't know. This is still a really long time. I mean, he started at what, in like the 50s or 60s, I think?
I thought it was the 40s, but who knows?
I mean, maybe it was that long ago, because the guy who did it was born in 1908, so it could have been. Funny
Either way,
enough,
it's taking a long time.
This pamphlet I have from there does not say what year he started it, which seems like information people like me would want to know.
It's definitely a fact you would have looked up.
Yes. So I think I did, and I've looked at it somewhere, but I don't remember. But in doing our drive and everything, and from that, we had picked up another paper that talked about this crazy story that I also had never heard about, and about another Native American for Sitting Bull. And it was so crazy. So I was like, oh my God, this is a perfect little petty story that we can tell.
It is.
So you'll remember Sitting Bull. He was a significant Native American.
Yep.
So there was a whole article. This one was written in 2018. So there is this whole debate that continues over where his bones belong. So there's a backstory of this boy. He's 16 years old. He goes and he catches this horse for his father along the Grand River. And then he's bringing it home on the frosty morning of December 15th, 1890. All right.
Way back in time.
Way back in time. This is when this happened. So he passes the cabin of his famous uncle. I'm assuming he's also his favorite, apparently. And a large party of Standing Rock Agency Indian police rode up to the cabin. So he is like, oh my gosh, what's going on? He hides in the bushes. He can't see what's going on, but he hears voices and people crying. And his 2 aunts that are married to his uncle, he's quite the guy.
Quite a time back then.
They all start shouting. There's gunfire and cries of pain. So he runs, gets his father, and they go back to the cabin to see what's going on. When they return, 7 supporters of his uncle, and 4 Indian police are all dead, which is sad. So his uncle, the great Sitting Bull, is now gone. So the Standing Rock agent, he had sent the Indian police to arrest Sitting Bull and bring him to Fort Yates one way or another. Obviously, it didn't go well. They had accused Sitting Bull of basically starting this whole movement where the Native Americans were, rightly so, not happy that all these white people were coming in and like, hey, we're going to take your land. And obviously the white people did not like that. So this is how they handled it. It did not go well.
Let me guess. Harkening back to our last mini episode, they're going to wrestle for the land.
No, he's already dead. He can't wrestle now. It would have been a better solution. Funny enough, a very petty person, their solution would have been better than what happened. Just wrestle for it.
If only Jay had lived in a different time.
If only he could have thrown food at them and been like, no, guys, calm down. Just wrestle. Duh. I would have taken care of it. So after the fighting's done, the agency police, they just take Sitting Bull's body and they throw it into a wagon with all the other people that had died, and they just wheel it away. Don't do much with it. They wrap it in canvas and they place it in a wooden coffin, and then they bury him in a military cemetery with no service. So I don't know if you know, but Native Americans, they have a whole funeral process. There's a whole thing for mourning over the body, and they are very much into where the body should be placed, where it should be buried.
Right.
It's very important to them. So we jump 63 years later in time to 1953. And now the 16-year-old boy who saw his uncle's murder, he is an old man. He is Clarence Gray Eagle. And at this time, he is waiting in North Dakota Department of Health offices in Bismarck. And he is there to get his uncle's body back, because he thinks that it's insanely disrespectful that the way the police and soldiers had handled his uncle's body. And for years, he'd been asking for the gravesite to be improved, but no action was taken. So now the Dakota Memorial Association was working with him to provide a proper burial site and erect a monument. But they're taking a long time. They're not taking his requests super seriously. Gray Eagle had workers at a gravesite ready to dig. So they're ready. All they need is just permission for this body to come back.
Just camped out there, just living there for years.
What do you mean?
Waiting to dig the grave?
No, but I mean, it's all set up like, hey, you come at this time. We have the place set. Everything is ready to go. You just need to come and dig it. But
I would have liked it better if they were there since like 1890 and just waiting there. Waiting 50, 60, 70 years.
Well, no, that is not what happened. So it angered Gray Eagle that people had tampered with Sitting Bull's remains. According to J.F. Wagoner, who I don't know who that is. I'm assuming a historian.
Did you say J?
J.F. Oh my gosh. He was there.
Do you think?
No. Who had helped construct the coffin, the soldiers had poured quicklime into it. One rumor had it that they had not buried Sitting Bull's body, but had dissected it. Another rumor held that the remains had been dug up and reburied at a secret location. And then 2 boys claimed they had dug into the grave and removed 2 bones. So basically at this point, he's like, all this speculation, all these rumors, they need to stop. This is getting a little ridiculous. This is not respectful. So they claimed that later the remains were dug up, they were placed in a wooden box and reburied in the same spot, but this time they put a thin slab of concrete over the top. That was their solution. Instead of just giving his family the body so that they could do it the proper way, that was their way of handling it. Now, the fort where he was buried, had been closed in 1903. And when they left all those military graves, they took the time to dig up all of those graves because they don't want to leave their military behind, but they left Sitting Bull behind. This was an opportunity for them to take his body and say, here, and bring it back to his family. A good opportunity to make things right, but
they just left it.
Yeah, they very pettily left it. And they don't care. They don't care. No one put up a headstone. No one did anything about it. So he also had his cousins, the 3 granddaughters of Sitting Bull. They were also behind this, and they had given Gray Eagle the power of attorney to exhume and reinter the remains at a site that was ready to go. And the same sculptor, this is how I found the story, the same sculptor who was working on Crazy Horse, that whole Crazy Horse monument, he was in the middle of doing that, and they got him to come over and make a headstone for Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull.
Yeah. So this was like, I mean, there was a lot going on that he was waiting on this agency to just do the right thing and help him out. All right, so Gray Eagle, he's still waiting, and he would go to the North Dakota state offices and he'd wait. Finally, a state historian, his name is Russell Reed, and a state health officer, Dr. R.O. Saxvic, met with Gray Eagle and told him he could not take Sitting Bull's remains since, get this, Sitting Bull was an important historical figure. They would consider his request at a later date. Are you kidding me? After how they have treated his body, and they have not given him any honor at all, that was the petty reason they could come up with.
But they were basically denying that the whole time.
By not honoring him.
By not doing what they were supposed to do.
Exactly. So obviously, Gray Eagle is like, yeah, you guys are full of crap. So news gets out about this proposed repair.
Was that really what he said?
Yeah.
So he walked into him and said, you're full of crap.
So in this story, he needed an interpreter for when he was dealing with them.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, he had enough knowledge of English that he could be like, yeah, this is a bunch of crap. That's how bad the story was.
He only knew one 4-word sentence in English, and it was, you're full of crap.
You're full of crap. Yes.
I mean, if you're going to know 4-word sentence and you don't speak English, you could probably use that a lot of the time.
Yes, you could. So this story gets out, and there is a war in the press that raged between North and South Dakota. So, I mean, they're just being petty just to be petty. And they're both going back and forth. So the Rapid City, South Dakota, they begin to do work bringing the remains over because they're sick and tired of dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
Even Montana floated the idea to move Sitting Bull's remains to the Little Bighorn battlefield where Sitting Bull had played a part in the victory over the 7th Cavalry. All right, so this is where it starts to get where Gray Eagle, he takes his whole "you're full of crap" and he uses it. So they do further research, and him and his friends determined that since Sitting Bull was on the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation and was buried on federal property, North Dakota had no jurisdiction. The Interior Department responded to Gray Eagle's request to move Sitting Bull's remains, stating that as far as the federal government was concerned, the disinterment and removal was up to the next of kin, the 3 grandchildren, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they believed that they have every right at this point to remove the remains, but they did not want to cause an incident with the North Dakotans during the removal. So they decided to, on Wednesday night, April 8th, 1953, in a snowstorm, they go over to Fort Yates, and with the help of a superintendent there, they take the concrete slab, they dig up his bones, and they remove Sitting Bull's remains, and they just go ahead and they take it over to rebury it because...
And at that point, who cares? Why not?
Exactly.
You're not getting anywhere.
They're not... North Dakota is not doing anything to help them out. It's just petty at this point. So he went and he's just like, okay, well, guess what? I'm just going to go ahead and take it. So they bring it over. They put Sitting Bull's remains in a steel casket. They lower it into the ground and they bury it under 20 tons of concrete. You're going to put this little thin slab of concrete over him to protect him? Well, guess what? Now, if you want him back, you got to go through 20 tons of concrete. And his response, Gray Eagle's response to the news of this is, I was tired of the white man's red tape and delays.
Who isn't?
North Dakota had done nothing to honor our great leader, and they were trying to keep his own people from obtaining a memorial for him. So we went and got him. And I said, good for you. But guess what?
Oh, no.
North Dakota? Oh, no, they want the bones back. They claim,
why?
I don't know, but they claim that the South Dakotans, oh, you missed the grave. You got someone else's bones? Or only some of the bones. And the battle over this went on for years.
They should have just put that little slab of concrete back on, never told them, and no one would ever be wiser.
No, I'm sorry, but after someone is acting that ridiculous and that petty and they're not honoring your family, no, you tell them. I'm sick and tired of what you guys were doing. We took the matter into our own hands because this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
They were being petty. I would have called them on it. But finally, on Saturday, April 11th, 1953, more than 62 years after his death, a memorial service was held for Sitting Bull, attended by a large crowd of Lakotas, and hopefully I'm saying that right, and others, including Sitting Bull's 3 granddaughters and Gray Eagle. And then they had that granite pedestal with his name, Sitting Bull, and his date of birth and his death on there. I thought that was pretty nice.
I was expecting someone from some of the white men from South Dakota to be there in disguise with a pickup truck and like, just lower that right into our truck. We'll make sure that it gets there. And then they drive it back to off the reservation.
They put the memorial on top of the old grave. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, though, this whole thing. And there's more to the story of, like, you know, with the monument and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was pretty incredible. Also, the sculptor, I don't, which is sad because our last name is Polish. So you think I'd be able to say it. Okay, but Korzak Zelkowski, or Koski, if you say it the way that we say our last name.
Who even knows?
But I thought that was pretty cool that he ended up doing not only the monument for Crazy Horse, but that one for Sitting Bull. So it was just a good story of just like, you know what? Y'all are going to be petty and not do the right thing. And Gray Eagle took it into his own hands. And I liked it.
If you take anything from this story, it's that even in boring fights over graves, past grievances, people will be petty. So if nothing else you take from this, it's that people will and can be petty about anything.
Yeah, because what was the point of them? It's not like they had made this great monument and that people were used to going there to pay homage to him or visit him or see, the great Sitting Bull. Nothing was done with it. It was an abandoned graveyard. And they had to be petty over it.
For as wrong as it would have been, I could see them being petty and not wanting to give it away if they were making money off of it. And
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Again, not that would have been right, but
no, it wouldn't have been. I could
see them putting up a fight for that, but just for no reason, there's petty.
Yeah, and they weren't taking care of it. I mean, then there was no memorial for him. I mean, just the whole thing was really, really sad. This was somebody who they considered, who the Native Americans considered a very great person in their culture, and then they couldn't even do the right honor. It's just
all I'm gonna say.
What
is that as one of the greatest podcasters of all time, I hope people fight over my bones as much as has happened here.
Oh, you're the greatest podcaster of all time, huh? Okay.
In this house.
Oh, okay. That is
on this side of the table.
Oh. Are you just
The
trying
microphone
to one-up
cut out
them?
really quick.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But
and it didn't
It
get the
didn't
rest
get
of
that stuff. I was just making sure you heard that.
Mm. Oh,
I just
okay.
hope people fight over my bones for like 100 years.
Yeah, me too. I hope they do.
And it's just people, and since it's probably not going to be you 100 years from now, it's just going to be random people that just want
Probably
them.
not.
I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah, I definitely will. Yep, I'll still be alive. You're right. What was I thinking? No, but anyway, that was one of our stories that I got. Another serious one from me, but also really ridiculous and really petty.
I feel like we could modernize it and turn it into a movie or a TV show and people would really like it. But if we did that TV show or movie based on that story, I don't think people would like it.
No, I don't think so.
But if we twisted it up and put a fun cast of people, since we have so many connections with people.
I don't know.
You don't know?
So then we're stealing this poor guy's story? I don't think so.
Just putting a twist on it and making it our own?
No.
Gold mine.
Mm-mm.
But if you tell people, hey, there's going to be a movie out about Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, no one's going to watch it.
That's kind of sad.
It is sad.
They should be interested in it, especially after everything that Native Americans have gone through.
It's a sad, sad thing.
It is. Anyway.
But people don't like history that much, so.
No, they don't. They should, because it's super petty and super ridiculous.
You are definitely finding out a lot of the historical petty.
Yes, it's crazy.
And I just find stupid stories about people throwing spaghetti at each other.
I have a stupid story that I'm going to be telling, so.
You do. But you have more historical ones than I do.
I do, but that's because I like history.
You absolutely do.
Well, there you go. So that's our story.
That's our story. A little bit longer of a mini episode this week, but it was worth it to tell the story of petty South Dakota.
Yes.
So are they on our petty list?
Sure.
Fair enough. South
Yes,
Dakota, you're in the ire of our eyes.
Of our eyes?
Next time we drive through South Dakota, we're just going to be side-eyeing the whole state.
I like that.
We see a South Dakota license plate down here. We're going to give them a dirty look. We're going to assume they're involved with this whole thing.
No, I think... Yeah, no. North Dakota.
North Dakota,
yeah.
yes.
When
So
you said that,
North Dakota
like,
people here in Florida, we will assume every single one of you is involved in this mischief.
Yes. We will judge you harshly. Even though all of this happened.
Be forewarned.
Even before we were born.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
They were somehow
We
involved
will
with
be
it.
petty about it now.
And then people are going to be telling our story about how every single person from North Dakota that comes to Florida gets side-eye looks from two of the greatest podcasters' house.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it.
Let's go to our website, letstalkpetty.com. You can listen to old episodes. You can find a link to review and leave us a rating on our podcast, which is not super helpful, but it's nice to know that you like it.
It is nice.
And we'll be getting ready for season 2 here very shortly, even though we've been saying that for about 3 years.
We have not. And it has not been that long since we ended the season. You know, a lot of people take like sometimes 6 months off. So I think you have to stop hyping.
I will not. I'm going to hype that we're just taking way too long to get this going.
No, we definitely are not.
But we're still giving out these mini episodes because we are just so in love with what we do.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
We are having a fun time. So go to our website, rate us, look us up on Twitter, Let's Talk Petty Pod, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Please be sure and give our show a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.